Once upon a time, in the ancient world, the character we now know as Satan was a latecomer in the religious traditions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Surprisingly, the Jewish Bible didn't feature Satan as a totally evil being. It was during the height of the Persian Achaemenid Empire, around 550 BCE, that Satan evolved and was adopted by Jews living under Persian rule. The formal name Satan is derived from the Hebrew ha-Satan, where ha means the, and Satan means opposer or adversary. This title perfectly describes Satan's eventual role as the opposer of God's creation. The Greek term diabolos, later translated into English as devil, emphasized Satan's role as an accuser and slanderer. The concept of Satan didn't emerge overnight, but evolved over time in different phases. It was prompted by the age-old human dilemma, the existence of evil. As humans faced natural disasters, wars, diseases, and man-made evils like murder and theft, they grappled with explaining and rationalizing the presence of evil in the world. Various creation myths attempted to address this issue. In some traditions, a high god or king of the gods controlled everything, both good and evil, showcasing omnipotence. The biblical narrative, particularly in Genesis, contrasted with Mesopotamian creation myths. While Enuma Elish portrayed gods as capricious and chaotic, the God of Israel was depicted as orderly, with a divine plan in creations deemed good. The fall in the Garden of Eden, the story of Adam and Eve, aimed to show that evil originated from human disobedience, not God. This disobedience led to struggles in producing food, pain in childbirth, and, most significantly, the loss of immortality. The sin of Adam and Eve, according to the narrative, brought upon humanity the greatest evil, death. As people constructed their religious systems, they projected their experiences onto the gods. Kings had courts of nobles and advisors, and similarly, heavenly courts had higher and lower officials. The angels were the higher ones in Judaism, while the lower deities, originally neutral, became blamed for evil over time. In Genesis, a peculiar passage tells of the sons of God having intercourse with human women, leading to the creation of ancient giants known as the Nephilim. This narrative aimed to explain the evil on earth that prompted God to send the flood. Although other pantheons had gods mating with humans, the Israelite tradition rejected this, fearing it could lead to idolatry. Following the Persian conquest and the rise of Zoroastrianism, the Jewish people found themselves influenced by the dualistic worldview prevalent in their new surroundings. In Zoroastrianism, the struggle between good and evil was personified in Ahura Mazda, the wise lord, and Angra Mainyu, the embodiment of chaos and deception. Returning to Jerusalem under Cyrus the Great's reign, the Jews brought back elements of Persian religion with them. Among these was the concept of a powerful adversary, a force of evil opposed to the divine. This concept fused with their existing understanding of Ha-Satan, the adversary who tested humans' faith and loyalty to God. Ha-Satan's role evolved during this period. He transitioned from being a member of God's divine court to becoming the ultimate adversary, Satan, the devil. This transformation mirrored the Persian belief in a cosmic struggle between good and evil. The Book of Job offers a glimpse into this evolving understanding of Satan. Here, Satan acts as a sort of celestial prosecutor, challenging God's faithful followers like Job. In the narrative, Satan tests Job's loyalty by stripping away his prosperity and subjecting him to immense suffering. This story highlights the emerging concept of Satan as an agent of adversity and temptation. As time passed, Satan became increasingly associated with all forms of evil and suffering. The Jewish people, influenced by Persian beliefs, began attributing the existence of evil to Satan, rather than viewing it as part of God's divine plan. With the fusion of Jewish and Persian ideas, Satan transformed from a minor figure in the divine hierarchy to the archenemy of God and humanity. The concept of Satan as the ultimate adversary, tempting humans to stray from the path of righteousness, became firmly entrenched in Jewish thought and later in Christian and Islamic theology. Through this process of cultural exchange and theological evolution, the figure of Satan emerged as one of the most enduring symbols of evil in Western religious traditions. The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in the mid-20th century, shed further light on the evolving concept of Satan among ancient Jewish sects. The Essenes, a Jewish sect settled at Qumran around 150 BCE, developed a method of personifying evil. In their writings, Satan was equated not only with evil but also with anyone who disagreed with their views, even fellow Jews. According to Essene texts, humans possessed two spirits, the way of light and the way of darkness. Satan, now depicted as controlling demons, sent them to possess those aligned with darkness, leading them to commit evil deeds. The Essenes assigned symbolic names to Satan and his agents, such as Belial, who would lead the sons of darkness in a final battle against the forces of light. Other texts found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, like the books of Enoch and Jubilees, expanded upon the lore surrounding Satan. In these writings, Satan, known as Mistema, or the fallen angel, rebelled against God and was cast into the abyss along with his fellow angels. Despite his rebellion, Satan's actions remained subject to God's control, as seen in his role as the tempter of Abraham and other biblical figures. The New Testament further developed the figure of Satan, portraying him as the ruler of the world and the adversary of Jesus and his followers. The Apostle Paul referred to Satan as the ruler of the dark world and described his own struggles against demonic forces. The Gospels depicted Jesus as engaging in spiritual combat with Satan, resisting his temptations during his wilderness ordeal. Mark's Gospel presented Jesus as a charismatic exorcist, driving out demons and confronting the influence of Satan on earth. Jesus' victory over demons symbolized his triumph over the forces of evil. Later writings, like the Book of Revelation, envisioned a final battle between Christ and Satan, culminating in Satan's defeat and eternal damnation. Throughout these texts, Satan evolved from a minor figure in ancient Jewish thought to the archenemy of God and humanity. His character became synonymous with evil and temptation, embodying the forces opposed to divine righteousness. As the story of Jesus' death and resurrection spread, questions arose about what happened during the time between his crucifixion and resurrection. The Acts of the Apostles hinted at Jesus' descent into Hades, Sheol, where he proclaimed victory over death to imprisoned spirits. By the 2nd century CE, this narrative was embellished to explain Jesus' activities during those 3 days. According to Christian tradition, while Jesus' body lay in the tomb, his soul descended into hell to confront Satan and rescue the souls of the righteous. This event, known as the harrowing of hell, depicted Jesus as a triumphant hero liberating souls from the grasp of evil. Among those freed were biblical figures like Adam, Noah, and Moses, as well as notable philosophers like Plato and Aristotle. The concept of Christ's descent into hell became a central tenet of Christian belief, enshrined in the Nicene Creed in the 4th century CE. Over time, the story of the harrowing of hell evolved, drawing parallels with raids or incursions like those of the Vikings. The portrayal of Satan underwent significant evolution in early Christian thought. Drawing from Greco-Roman influences, Satan's iconic features were influenced by the imagery of Pan, the half-man, half-goat fertility deity. This association gave rise to depictions of Satan with hooves, horns, and even a phallic symbol, often depicted in red to symbolize hellfire. In the 2nd century CE, both Christians and Jews began to reinterpret the story of the fall, casting the serpent as the devil and Eve as the primary sinner. This narrative was further developed in rabbinic literature, attributing menstruation and veiling to Eve's shame. In addition to Greco-Roman influences, European pagan traditions contributed to the characterization of Satan. Celtic and Teutonic beliefs incorporated horned deities like Cernunnos and the daughter of Loki, whose names became associated with the underworld. Satan was believed to possess shape-shifting abilities, requiring constant vigilance against his influence. Protective measures like the sign of the cross, holy water, and communion wafers were employed to repel him. The concept of selling one's soul to Satan in exchange for prosperity, as depicted in the Faust legend, emerged from feudal relationships. Dante Alighieri's Inferno, written in the 14th century, provided a vivid portrayal of Satan as a three-faced monster in the lowest circle of hell. For Dante, betrayal was the greatest sin, and Satan devoured traitors like Brutus, Cassius, and Judas. Throughout history, the portrayal of Satan reflected cultural and theological influences, shaping perceptions of evil and redemption in Western thought.